Hello there, friends and neighbors. This is me, Stella Hendricks. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I'm super excited to continue our book club together. We are on part 3 of The Girl in the Centerfold by Suri Marsh, aka Miss Solveig Mellenborgen. I think I'm saying her last name right. She gave a pronunciation guide to her first name in here, so I know it's Solveig, not Solveig. I also thought it was Solveig when I first read this until I got to that part, and now I am educated. So, there we go. Chapter 3, Bunny Solveig. Oh wait. I forgot that I actually started this a little back in the last chapter, in the ending of the chapter entitled Cost Cobb. I skipped over most of it because she just talks about how she went and was a nanny for a wealthy couple in New York, in some neighborhood in New York, and she did not have a good experience and she wanted to bounce out of there as fast as she could. So she did. This guy helped her out and she started working as a waitress. As a waitress in the flick, I wore red leotards, red net stockings, I think she means like fishnets, red high heel shoes, a straw hat, also red. On a good day, I could make about $20 in wages and tips, which was more money than I'd yet seen in this land of opportunity. I sort of enjoyed the job. The costume wasn't too brief and I felt pretty in it, and I got a lot of reaction from the customers. One fellow said, "You ought to be a bunny." I thought it was a line. "Don't you think I ought to get married first?" He laughed. "I mean a Playboy bunny." "Is that a different kind?" "You mean you've never heard of Playboy bunnies?" "Should I have?" He was astounded, shaking his head in disbelief. "Playboy is an American magazine. You must have seen it. It's the one with the nude girl in the centerfold." Suddenly I remembered. I'd gone to a party at a fellow's apartment in Oslo. He had a wall covered with nude pictures and everyone looked at and laughed over. He said they came from Playboy. I had been terribly shocked. What sort of girl would ever do anything like that? "I'm not going to be a bunny, mister. Nobody's going to paste me on their walls." No, you misunderstand. The nudes are called playmates. A bunny is a waitress in the Playboy Club. She serves food and drinks. "Are you kidding me about these bunnies or whatever you call them?" "Look, I'm dead serious. Ask anybody." I wasn't sure I believed him, but I was intrigued. "How much would I make there?" "I don't know exactly. I understand the girls make $150, maybe $200 a week." "So much?" "Some make more, I guess. You'd be good at it. Why work here when you can make twice as much for doing practically the same thing?" I hesitated, but I'm sure he knew I was interested. "I know Tony Roma, the general manager of the Playboy Club. Why don't I call him? Arrange an appointment for you. Then you can see for yourself." I heard myself say, "Okay." It might be a temptation, this is in the next chapter. It might be a temptation for some in that situation to assume they were so gorgeous that receiving such a proposal was merely inevitable. I never felt that way myself. I know beautiful girls who think of themselves as ugly and are constantly needing to have their beauty proved to them. And I know beautiful girls who think of themselves as absolutely stunning. You poor wretch. I've always been rather pragmatic about myself. I think I'm pretty but no particular beauty. I recently cut my hair short, but until then I'd always worn it rather long. Natural blondes with long hair, fair skin, and blue eyes are usually attractive. In my case, I think my chin is a little weak and my cheeks are a bit cherubic. I wouldn't mind if those features were improved, but nor do I think I have a particularly great figure. I'm a little thing, 5'2", 98 pounds, 35, 23, 34. 35, 23, 24, yeah. Not very big anywhere. I could never figure out what I was doing in a magazine that glorifies boobies. I don't know what she means by that. She has a terrific rack. I never felt like entering any contests. I'd prove it by giving my cup size, but I really don't know it. I seldom wear a bra. I've never needed one, and who wants to wear a harness? I like my freedom. At the same time, I'm not going to put myself down. I know that men usually find me attractive and desirable. I swear I don't do anything to get either reaction, but it happens, it happens. There was no great problem in being hired as a bunny. If I filled out an application, I don't remember it. Tony Roma explained that I was to be the door bunny. This meant I was to stand by the door and greet the club members as they came in, saying, "Good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club." I was not to say hello, or hi there, or how'd you like to pose for the Centerfold? I was to say good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club, not a word different. In fact, the only issue about my employment was my ability to render the proper greeting. The Playboy Clubs are an undeniable success. Men shell out $50 for a key or a membership, and then return again and again. And in New York, there are hundreds of interesting restaurants they could go to. In analyzing the reason for the club's success, one has to start with the decor, which might be described as contemporary lavish. The club is divided into rooms, all small, decorated in various themes, and always posh, plush, and luxurious. Certainly, the member buys decor. There is entertainment, combos, singers, comedians, dancers, and little acts by the bunnies regularly occur. Most are good, some are first rate. In all of the clubs except the New York and Atlanta clubs, where the liquor boards do not permit it, patrons can occasionally dance with a bunny, within limits. According to the Playboy Club Bunny Manual, a 50-page list of do's and don'ts for bunnies, bunnies may 1. Have their pictures taken with patrons, provided there is no physical contact, and 2. Dance with a patron at the featured dance party, provided there is no close physical contact, such as twist watusi. So drinking and dancing and being entertained, perhaps the patrons have the most fun. But the vital ingredient of the Playboy Clubs are the bunnies. If the bunnies were removed and waiters in white jackets were substituted, the whole system would collapse. It may be argued that the bunny is just a waitress serving food and drink, just like the tens of thousands of other hash slingers. But this isn't so. The Bunny Manual contains a section entitled, "What is a Bunny?" It is illuminating. Playboy would have you imagine yourself at a very elegant, sophisticated cocktail party, where you are to meet the most beautiful girl you have ever seen. To your surprise, she is not reserved or aloof. She gives you a big, sincere smile and says, "Hi, my name's Pat." It is the same disarming experience that charms members and guests wherever they are greeted by a Playboy bunny. A bunny is beautiful and desirable, and she is also warm, friendly, a nice young lady. She expects to like the people she meets, and she expects them to like her. She is projecting what we call the bunny image. Consider the customer. From the minute he enters, his eye is affixed upon a really remarkably attractive young girl, all desirable and dressed up in an outfit cunningly designed to accentuate and reveal the deep cleavage in half her hiney. She smiles at him and says, "I'm Bunny Pat," or whatever her name is, and it comes around regularly to cater to his every wish and comfort. The whole bunny fantasy is no accident. It is calculated to the nth degree. The Bunny Manual spells this out in spades. Everything she does or says is carefully prescribed. For example, Rule 521.1.3 of the Bunny Manual, the proper approach, commands the bunny to use the assurant phrase, "I'll be with you in a moment, sir," smile, and introduce herself with the standard bunny introduction. "Good evening, I am your bunny name. May I see the member's key, please?" The bunny must record this information on the check along with the date, the number of guests, and her station number and name. Then she is to ask, "Is the key listed under your name, sir?" And if the fellow says yes, she has to get his full name, last name first, and make sure she has the correct spelling. Bond, James Bond. If the patron says no, she is to ask, "Under whose name is the key listed, please?" And then she writes that as well next to the name of the person using the key. Next she says, "I'll be happy to take your order," remembering always to ask for the lady's orders first. She never ever asks for an order in a crude or trite phrase such as, "What'll you have?" or "Your order?" She is always friendly. If ladies are present, she always asks, "May I take the lady's order now, please, Mr. whoever?" That is all she says, except for possibly, "Do you care for cocktails, sir?" Rule 520.2.8 forbids any and all mingling with guests. And mingling is defined as dating, any physical contact, fraternizing, or socializing with patrons or guests. Mingling is very bad, and the bunny who mingles can be fired. A person might reasonably ask how a bunny is to be warm, friendly, a nice young lady if she can't mingle, but the manual's answer is for her to briefly converse with patrons as long as she restricts herself to polite formalities and information about the Playboy Club. Under no circumstances is she to provide any personal information about herself or other bunnies, such as last names, phone numbers, addresses, or vital statistics. Why such rules? Why instruct a bunny in exactly what she is to say and do? Why limit mingling, prohibit physical contact, and forbid dating anyone who's ever set foot in a Playboy Club? What harm would be done? The supposedly high-class clientele of the club ought to make excellent beaux and husbands. The airlines, which also make use of pretty girls to attract and serve customers, put no such restrictions on stewardesses. Many other rules enforce the fantasy. The bunny may not be seen eating or drinking. Dream girls do not have bodily functions. The costume, mine were pink and powder blue, may be great for Playboy and the patrons, but it's hell for the girls. As far as I'm concerned, the costume is a mid-20th century Iron Maiden. It is basically a corset. It has stays built into it like Grandma used to wear. They squeeze you in at the waist and push your tummy both up to your chest and down to your hips. Since I hate to wear a bra or girdle, the bunny costume was torture for me. But being constantly corseted was the least of it. The bunny costume is rigid. It doesn't move. You have to move to fit it. If I stood up straight with my shoulders back as I was taught, I didn't fill out the bra cups. Girls will understand this, but men will not. You see, when a girl stands up straight, it pulls her breasts up and flattens them a little. It looks nice, but not in the bunny costume. There are rigid cups standing out there half filled, so I had to stand with my shoulders slumped forward so my breasts would sag into the cups. Just trying to stand for 8 hours, shoulders forward, waist pinched in so your rear sticks out, and wearing 4-inch heels. Oh, did I get backaches. I know many girls did. The bunny, according to Playboy, is supposedly the glorification of the American girl. As the manual puts it, Rule 520.1, indeed, the bunny is so much a glorification of the American girl in the tradition of the famous Ziegfeld girl that the word bunny has become a synonym for a beautiful and glamorous young lady. In truth, the whole bunny bit is a denial of femininity and a repudiation of the American girl. Her figure, no matter how perfect, is not good enough. The legs have to be made longer by including the hip. The waist has to be pinched in smaller, the bosom pulled in and pushed up and padded out. I admit that the way I feel about being a bunny now is not the way I felt at the time. For the first couple of months, I was sure that I was one of the chosen, the apex of glamour, one of the most desirable and desired women in the world, tuned in, turned on, one of the beautiful people. At last, I was having a real adventure in the new world. I was excited. During this time, I rather consistently violated Rule 520.2.4. Bunnies are forbidden to date employees of the club. This rule applies to room directors, office personnel, bartenders, musicians, or performers. I guess I dated all of those. I was the first bunny seen when the guy entered the door. Good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club. I used to stand there by the door, feet aching, back killing me, forcing a smile and saying, "Good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club." I thought I'd blow my mind. I have a low threshold of boredom anyhow, and this was the most stultifying occupation imaginable. My only diversion was to answer the phone. I was to say, "Hello, this is the Playboy Club." But I would get so mentally blank and mechanical that I'd get my wires crossed and give the telephone greeting at the door and the door on the phone. Ring-a-ling, "Good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club." I felt like an empty-headed nothing on exhibition, going nowhere, doing nothing. At Cos Cob, that's her nanny job, I'd felt trapped by two demoniacal youngsters, and now I was trapped again by something else. Dull, deadly, deadening boredom. According to Playboy, rule number 520.1F, I don't know if these are real or if she's just exaggerating, but it's hysterical to me. You will find a quality of friendship seldom encountered in other areas of employment. Bunnies, we are told, share apartments, spend leisure time shopping, sightseeing, and vacationing together. Perhaps some did, but I did not. I've never been too much on girlfriends. I never seemed to know what to talk about. In the locker room, there was always a lot of chatter and giggling. Some girl would come on with a new wiglet or a fall. There'd be a big fuss, oohs and ahs, and squeals and scrambles to try it on, and isn't it darling, and where did you get it from, and how much did it cost? I just couldn't see what all the fuss was about. A wig is a wig is a wig, so I stayed out of it. I came in, tried to find a halfway clean dressing table among the litter that violated Rule .520.16, put on my makeup, got undressed for work, putting on my shoes carefully in the locker, and showed up for work. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Playboy Club. I never did fraternize very much, and I never did find much quality of friendship, but maybe that's my fault. I was a bunny for 13 months. I cannot say I enjoyed every minute of it, but where else could I earn $150 a week for saying, good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club. So that's very interesting. This is such an interesting book. Even in points when I really disagree with her or I get frustrated with her, it's an endlessly interesting book to me. So, interesting thing number one, she refers to herself as Pat 2 times in that chapter, just as an example kind of a name. And when she appeared in Penthouse, which she in this book says was unauthorized and she didn't want to be in Penthouse and somehow they got her pictures, she used the name Pat Fellows. So that just seemed a little peculiar to me, that she, of all the names in the universe, she picked out that one. What that signifies, I haven't the faintest idea. I just thought that was interesting. Oh, she describes the decor as lavish contemporary. This cracks me up because I remembered Holly Madison describing the decor of the Playboy Mansion as 70s porn chic. And Hugh Hefner is a famous or infamous stickler for his habits, a creature of habit. And so I imagine that the look wouldn't be like too different. Maybe it's different in the clubs than it is in his own personal home, but that cracked me up, her calling it lavish contemporary and Holly Madison saying it was 70s porn chic. The bunny image. So she complains a little bit about how detailed it is. I would also find that a little much. That's a lot of rules and it really goes into the minutia. I think that really comes from, it's neither a good thing nor a bad thing, just my observation. I think that really comes from Hugh Hefner being an editor of a magazine like Anna Wintour. Probably bossy, very detail oriented, they have a vision and they really want to see their vision come to life, much like a movie director. I think it's one of the things that makes people like Hugh Hefner and Anna Wintour geniuses in their field, but not particularly pleasant to work around immediately. If you've ever seen Devil Wears Prada, that's supposed to be based very closely off of A Girl's Experience with Anna Wintour. And I think, yeah, that type of personality would certainly have its strengths, but would drive me up a wall also. So I feel like where she's coming from for that. So she talks about the rules about the relationships with the club patrons. I don't know why she's so upset about that one. I don't know, because on the one hand, yeah, you should always have the freedom to date who you want, but I think that that's really a situation where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because if that rule hadn't been there, then there would have been the complaints made that the girls were encouraged to sleep with the patrons and it's nothing but a glorified brothel. It confuses me so much when Gloria Steinem and others make that complaint of, oh, the girls are only there to be looked at and not touched. If they were there to be touched, you would bitch about that as well. That's like, that's just finding things to complain about. And honestly, I think if Hugh Hefner, I think Hef would have done well to have applied similar rules to himself. He should not have been dating anyone in his employ. And that's one reason that things like the complaints coming out against him they have so much weight now, because that was a power imbalance to be dating your employees, particularly in such a sexually charged atmosphere. And I feel like he's paying the price. I think that's an appropriate rule. Am I crazy? I don't know. Leave me a comment below. Bunnies don't have bodily functions. That's a bit of a stretch. I'm not sure if she's mad because she's not supposed to be eating and drinking in front of the customers, which is just kind of generally unprofessional, or if she's referring to the bunny suit itself. And girl, that's just a jumper, okay? We all have to get naked in the bathroom if we want to go pee when you wear a jumper, okay? That doesn't mean that the ideal dream girl doesn't have bodily functions. I think you're being a little extreme now. Oh, the corset. Okay, that's so interesting to me. If she's uncomfortable even wearing a bra or a girdle, how she said earlier, then of course a corset's gonna be massively uncomfortable. But also it sounds to me like her corset just didn't fit. So I have another job, a wonderful day job, where I am a princess character for children's parties. And I wear a corset throughout the entire party. And I play games with children, musical chairs, hot potato, all these, pin the tail on the donkey, and you're kind of up and down the whole time in a big poofy dress and a cinched in corset. And yeah, they can sometimes get a little pinchy here and there, but honestly, I have kind of chronic back pain, and when properly cinched up, the corsets can be very supportive and very comfortable. It sounds to me like she had a corset that just didn't fit her properly, combined with her dislike and inexperience with wearing even bras she talks about. Yeah, that seems like it would be really uncomfortable for her. Yeah, this Iron Maiden narrative I hear in books and stuff all the time that's just wild to me. I wear corsets all the time for burlesque and for my princess job, and I find them to be very comfortable. You just have to know what you're doing. And how the outfit itself, how she says, oh, it's not a glorification of the American girl. It's never good enough. No matter how skinny you are, it pinches you in more. I think that's also kind of choosing to look at it. And if that's her real perspective, that's a valid perspective. But I could offer another one. That's like saying putting on makeup means that no matter how beautiful you are, you're never beautiful enough. When I go to my princess jobs, I wear more makeup than I usually wear in my day-to-day life. And is that because I'm just not good enough and the outfit's never good enough, and however skinny I am, I'd put on the corset because I'm just never good enough? I don't think that necessarily follows. That's certainly not the way that I feel about it. Anyone who does feel that way, I would really encourage them, to find a different job, because if it's just not something you want to do, then you shouldn't have to do it. And you don't have to do it. It's a job. Quit. Find something else that you're happier with. But I think that things like corsets and costumes and makeup, I think it's really just helping to build the fantasy world. And that doesn't necessarily mean a sexual fantasy. That princesses too, a children's character, they're part of this fantasy, this idea that we have in our head that's beyond perfection and beyond reality. It reminds me a lot also of, I'm fascinated with Japan. I love geisha culture, and they wear these full faces of makeup. It's not because they're not beautiful enough. It's because they're portraying a character. They're helping transport their customer into a fantasy realm. And I think that's awesome. It's very much like theater. It's very much a performance. I find nothing degrading about that whatsoever. And if anyone is in a situation where they have to perform and they find it degrading, I really hope that they can get out of it. But I do not think that it inherently, in and of itself, is a bad thing or a degrading thing. I think she really is looking back and picking apart little things. In my opinion, this is 100% my opinion, and I could be reading things wrong. Again, we have to remember this is a long time ago. She was very young and she's from another culture. So some things could also get lost in translation, you know? Oh God, this is one thing that does bug me a little bit. The boredom. This is a very common complaint of hers. Now I was standing at the door saying, "Good afternoon, welcome to the Playboy Club." That doesn't sound like the most fascinating job in the universe, and they probably would have done very well to mix up the jobs every now and then. Like on Monday, you're the door bunny. On Tuesday, you're the singing bunny. I don't know what kind of jobs they had around there. The drink serving bunny or whoever in the heck. Or maybe they could have combined the jobs to make them a little more stimulating. But honestly, who hasn't been bored silly at their job? If we have a job that is so fun and so to our personal liking that we just are so excited to go and do that job every day, then you're probably lucky that you can make a good living off of that job. Jobs are jobs, and you are paid to do these jobs because usually they're not the most enjoyable things. And yeah, this is something my parents used to say to me, but I agree with it now. Only boring people are bored. If you're bored, go find something to do. So go talk to the other girls maybe. Okay, yeah, the most boring job on earth, or one of them at least, is that of the day shift stripper. Yours truly had worked as a day shift stripper in Las Vegas in a couple different clubs. Usually when you turn up to a new club, you kind of have to be the day girl for a while before you establish like a customer base and the bosses get to know you and everything, and you kind of serve your dues. Then you can start working. But sometimes you will sit there for hours and there will be no one but maybe one or two guys that come in, and there's 6 girls in there, and you sit there chain smoking and drinking because there's nothing to do. It's so boring. So what you do? You find something to do. So you make friends with the other girls, or you come up with a plan for something, or you work on a little outfit. Find something to do. Like, I cannot abide listening to people bitching about how boring it is. Come now. Such an irritating, childish complaint. Also, she didn't try to make friends. She admits that too. Also childish and irritating. The "I don't get along with other girls" attitude is such internalized misogyny. And I think that, of course, this is the 60s. I'm really not trying to condemn Solveig. It's really more the society of the time that reinforced these negative ideas of hers. But the internalized misogyny that she has against the other women, they're just so uninteresting. I'm not like other girls. What do they call that? The pick-me girl? Oh God, I cannot. I think, yeah, that Solveig really struggles with that internalized misogyny. I love girls. I have spent my life around mostly girl groups. I think that's somewhat normal, like in high school, you generally hang out with girls more than guys. But growing up Mormon, it was more particularly segregated, with the girls or with the guys, and you don't really mingle so much. I went on a Mormon mission, and you serve with girls. You have a companion that you're with all the time, and I was always around the other sisters. And then I became a stripper, and that's again another very female-heavy job. I was around girls all the time. And I have never had much of a problem with this cattiness that I read about so frequently in literature and in movies and stuff. I don't believe in it. I think that is a misogynistic idea that has been placed upon women, that when women get together, they're all catty and bitchy. That's not true. In my experience, men or women, don't start no shit, don't stir no shit, there won't be no shit. I have enjoyed all of the women that I have, well, not all of the women. I have enjoyed all of the workplaces full of women, and it has never been, this problem for me, and I've never felt superior to other women. Feeling different than other people, that's one thing, but this attitude of it really feels to me like Solveig feels a little superior to them and is doing this, I'm not like other girls. Like, she kind of looks down on their interests and their hobbies and their chatter and their affection for each other. She's too good for it. Well, then sit there and be bored, I guess. Solveig? I think that's so rude. Oh, I thought of one more fun fact before we sign off out of here. Did you know that in the LA club, Dorothy Stratton was the door bunny there? So now I have the image in my head forever of Dorothy Stratton opening the door. Hello, welcome to the Playboy Club. Super funny, super cute. I love Dorothy Stratton. If you don't know who Dorothy Stratton is, please check out some of my other videos below. I have a Dorothy Stratton documentary. It's in the public domain and I posted it. I also have a little documentary that I created, part 1 and 2, about Star Stowe. She's another playmate who's fascinating to me. Now, of course, we're doing Solveig, but I'm gonna continue kind of seeking out opportunities to illustrate the individual personalities of the girls of Playboy. The playmates, the girlfriends, the bunnies, all of them. I think it's so interesting, and I just, yeah. I wish that I had that experience. It's fun to live vicariously through their experiences, even when, you know, you hear some of the negative things too. Of course, it wasn't going to be positive all the time, and I'm really grateful for the ins and outs, and you know, I really feel like it just wasn't a good fit for her, and that was the main problem with poor Solveig and her experience there. It just wasn't up her alley. And it's a shame that she found herself in a situation where, you know, she felt that she wasn't very happy. Although she says at the time she felt like she was happy, and in retrospect she has a different idea. Of course, it also does seem to me that she's rather easily influenced, but she was just like 19. It's complicated. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by again, friends and neighbors. I'm super excited to do this again next week, and I guess I'll talk to you then. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to do that. Thank you.